Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. You are attending our weekly NJ Thrives Small Business webinars. Today is Thursday, October 26th, and these webinars are created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. We really appreciate you joining us today for this very interesting topic that we have. My name is Uzma Sheikh, and you are attending NJSBDC's webinar. What does NJSBDC stand for? New Jersey Small Business Development Centers Network. It is a statewide program powered by the SBA Small Business Administration and partners like NJBAC to help small businesses in New Jersey with three main things: no cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, and exclusive small business resources. If you look on the map over there, there's all the counties of New Jersey. Wherever you see the little SBDC logo, that means our regional center is situated there. And you can go and request counseling. If you can hear me and see me properly, please let us know in the chat. Um, if you are new here, thank you for coming. If you have been here, have been attending our webinars, we really appreciate your support, continued support. Today's webinar is part of our tech series. So let me introduce you to our tech team. It is an NJSBDC exclusive technology commercialization team providing technical support and guidance to eligible innovators for SBIR and STTR grants to fund the R&D towards commercialization of tech innovations. You'll hear a lot of acronyms today, which is usual in the small business community. So if you haven't attended any of our tech program series before, please feel free to do so on our website, but that will also be explained today. Don't worry. What does the tech team do? No cost pitch to proposal consulting, training and events starting at $0, again, just like this one, and exclusive small business tech resources. If you'd like to learn more, go to njsbc.com/tech team. What is on the agenda for today? We have a couple of headlines, so news from our small business community. We have the presentation and we have the Q&A. And while I do go over the headlines, please tell us in the chat where you're from, who you are, what you do. We're always interested in knowing where our audience is from, and you never know who you find your next supporter, cheerleader, investor, partner. So go ahead and do that in the chat. Okay, so first is from the SBA, it's a press release, and SBA announces National Veterans Small Business Week. So happy Veterans Small Business Week to everyone. These events nationwide will highlight agencies' efforts to support nearly 2 million veteran and military spouse-owned small businesses. All right, so this is from the October 30th to November 3rd, so just in 4 days. And throughout the week, SBA and its resource partners, local organizations, will host a series of virtual and in-person events to highlight the entrepreneurial journey of veteran and military spouse-owned small business owners. So if you are interested, I'm just going over this very briefly. If you're interested, please go to these links. They will be shared in the chat and read them, and you will find all of the resources available. In line with the Veterans Small Business Week, we have New Jersey State Veterans Chamber of Commerce, and they have an upcoming event, or they will be having many, many events for the week of November 1st to 8th. All right, so if you'd like to sign up for them, please go visit this website and you can register here at Eventbrite, or for any of the virtual events, you will be registering at the Zoom link. Okay, and the third headline is also a press release. Biden-Harris administration expands access to capital for underserved small business small businesses through mission-based lenders, introduces 143 new community advantage small business lending companies called SBLC across America. All right, and many details here. Please feel free to go and read it. Fourth and final is Biden-Harris administration announces significant increase in lending to Black-owned small businesses. Total number and dollar amount of SBA-backed loans to Black-owned small businesses see 2.5 times increase under the administration. And that is it for our headlines. Let's go to our some housekeeping rules that we have. In the chat, I see many of you sharing your responses, our webinar assistant sharing our links. If you have any questions, then go to the Q&A box separate from the chat and type your questions there. We will be addressing them in the Q&A session, and we don't want to miss it in the chat box where many things will pop up. The presentation today will be shared with you if you complete a 3-minute survey. It's really quick, doesn't take long. At the end, you'll get a link that will give you access to the slides. And with that, let me introduce you all to Bruce Cogan, who's NASA's SBIR ARMD liaison, and Ian Leviit, who is the UAM concept lead. For the webinar From Ideas to Space, NASA SBIR STTR Program Overview, I will ask Bruce and Ian, you both, to unmute and put on your camera. Please feel free to share your screen. Bruce, welcome, and thank you so much for doing this for us. Okay, just give us a minute. Bruce is coming on with his video, I believe. Yep, there we go. There was a screen sharing happening right there.
Okay, did we get the right screen? I see you.
It's not sharing yet.
Okay.
So we need to go to the presentation. I see my fellows. Hi.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing that selection. Let me see.
There we go.
Yeah. Do we have it now?
Oh, it was right there. Almost had it.
Okay. Okay. How's that? Is that looking good?
That's looking good, yes.
All right. Great. Always a little technical difficulty and stuff on my end. So, yeah, welcome everyone. My name's Bruce Cogan. I'm in the NASA Small SBIR ARMD liaison. ARMD is Aeronautics Research Mission Directorate. So as I describe it quickly, I work with researchers like Ian, who's on here as well, and various programs to identify needs that NASA needs to do their mission, but may not have the resources and such that to address those technology needs. So we go out to small businesses to see how they can help provide funding for them to both support our missions, but also more importantly, for them to grow via infusion into our projects, and probably more importantly, commercialization. You know, how do we taking your technology, your ideas and such, and commercializing them? I'm primarily going to talk about aeronautics. That's my area, but we have 4 mission directorates at NASA who all support the SBIR program. Human exploration, so our Moon to Mars initiatives, Science Mission Directorate, a lot of Earth science, planetary science, sensors, and Space Technology Mission Directorate, STMD, who's doing the technology, you know, for various spaces, both be it CubeSats and such. So my focus is, again, on the aeronautics side, but certainly can address some questions in those areas as well as the basic process. Given, you know, talking to Ian, I know a lot of folks here in New Jersey, there's some companies that support FAA as well. So we're going to discuss that a little bit in the program and such, but a lot of information. So please take the survey, get the slides. There's good links, and including, we do have access to folks like Ian, who are the folks running the program, to give you insight, more than NASA needs. So certainly take advantage of that. So I'm going to go start here a little bit with a little bit of the program overview, pretty high level, in how ways to participate in getting more information. So really, we want to help take small businesses' knowledge, technology, to help, primarily to help them grow, but also to help our missions as well. So as I say it, if we need a technology need, sometimes we don't have the resources. We realize it's important. So we throw it to small businesses through our solicitations, have them come up with proposals, which we review, evaluate, and award. We allow, basically it's about a 6-month phase one. I'll get into that later, but basically let the company, develop that technology, which has potential infusion in our projects, as well, and probably more important, commercialization. So you can commercialize this either through selling it, selling as a product, or a service, in the private sector, or as we find in ARMD, we have a lot of investment in our technology by both FAA and DoD, particularly AF Works, the Air Force, kind of their SBIR innovation area. We're very focused on innovation, so we're looking for innovative ideas in our proposals, probably a little less product development, as say DoD, they're generally looking for, products. They do that, much more funding. Products developed, they buy lots of it. We're kind of looking more in the innovation area. We do have products, but sometimes it's more expertise and being able to support, say, development of tools to sort projects, sensors, and other areas. We definitely encourage participation of socially and economically disadvantaged persons, women-owned businesses, veterans. That said, we primarily we try to encourage that. We do events like this, other ones, to encourage folks to do that. Primarily our proposals, though, are very, on a technical base, where we look at the technology and have, subject matter experts, look at the, the proposals that come in. We do lots for small businesses. It's early stage funding. So we say, what's your idea? What do you want to develop? So you have something that your company wants to develop. It's very researchy. We provide that funding as long as, there's a good tie-in potentially to a NASA mission. Up to $1 million the first 3 years. I'll go into a little bit on the process in the phase one, phase two, and a very active matching campaign to encourage folks going forward, both via during the contract as well as after. You keep your IP. We don't take any of your money. We provide experience of working with NASA experts on your technology. So we have a wide range of folks supporting the program, both at award and even pre-award, where we allow folks we set up, one-on-ones and such with, technical experts to kind of talk a little bit more in depth on some of the NASA research that we're being able to do. I think it's also cool, I've told by small businesses, just being able to work with NASA is good, even if not making a neat big product, to say, NASA flew, we flew on a NASA mission, be it to Mars or one of our ARMD missions and such. So definitely something helps your company. One of the coolest is business skills. So we offer a couple things. We find sometimes innovative companies don't have quite the business skills. So we offer a couple of training as part of this. So once awarded, you can sign up for this, and it's no cost. It doesn't come out of your funding level. It's additional money, so you can better develop the business skills to market your technology and stuff. And finally, I'd say de-risking your technology. So if you do have some technology, we help you to de-risk it, develop it further, and such, and again, hopefully infuse it into a NASA mission. So a little on the details. So we have a yearly solicitation, which will be come up in January. I believe I have some schedule on that. We actually just completed the bulk of that work just yesterday, doing these yearly solicitations on the technologies that we're looking for. So those will be coming out, I believe, January 9th. So that's a phase one. It's a six-month period of performance, 150K, kind of an idea generation and feasibility. So your idea, you start looking at feasibility, is this feasibility, trying to prove that. So you can go off into a phase two, which is a 2-year contract, 850K, kind of in most cases looking for some type of prototype, be it a hardware, software, or something at the end of that. Depending on what the technology is and such. And then kind of the next is phase three, and this is basically outside of our program. It's when other folks are funding it, be a NASA project or program, outside investors, things like that. How that ties in, if we look at the arrow here in the bottom, we have several, post-phase, as we call it, post-phase two, where we're matching funding, and it's for the first two, particularly for the first one, the E and X, it's almost guaranteed. So if you have investment of, I believe the entry is 25K to 375K, we'll match it, most cases, as long as it's a good technical merit and such, we'll do that matching. Sequentials are more specific to certain technologies we're looking for, but that's another opportunity. And probably the most exciting is the CCRPPs, which are from $500,000 to $2.5 million. Again, NASA will match that investment. We're excited on AMD. We'll show a couple examples of some of our success stories that we had 2 recent awards, both for $5 million for small businesses for some of their technology, with outside investments from Boeing and the Air Force AF Works. The orange boxes, I-Core and TABA, are again some of the things we offer to small businesses who have a phase one award. Again, helping them develop their business skills. Very good program to help you market your technology. Is actually a good way to even talk to other companies, to get their inputs if you're thinking of commercializing it. Again, something we provide on that business case. Talk a little bit of review. Phase one is primarily, again, we're looking at the technology. Is it feasible? Is it innovative? Do you have a good team to do that? In phase two, we do start to look at commercialization. It would be part of your score. So having a good commercialization plan, market surveys, business cases, and things like that. And again, via I-Core and TABA, they provide a lot of that training if your company doesn't have that expertise. So a little on our schedule for coming up. The solicitation, we will be coming out January 9th, 2024. So be on the lookout for that. And we'll talk a little bit later about how to best engage with our program. Basically from January to March, you put in your proposals. Then we do a review and selection project process from March to June. And once awarded in June, we announce the phase ones and then do basically contract negotiations, awards. And I'll have to go back for the SBIR, it's a 6-month period of performance. So at the end of that, you provide, the final reports and such, but then your proposal for the phase two work is done as well. I'll go back and our program, so we have SBIR, also STTR, which is similar funding levels and such. It requires an academic partner for any of those proposals. And they have their phase one is 13 months versus 6 months, giving time to have the university and the research institute and the small business kind of understand how to work together. Of course, folks that work with research institutes, they're a little more research oriented versus small businesses, which of course are a little more profit oriented. So give some extra time to kind of develop that. That said, we encourage, partnership, even SBIR with research institutes. It's certainly encouraged, but it's not required. And all of these dates are subject to change, if due to funding and such. We're all hoping not to have a government shutdown, but that does affect these potentially. So so far things look good on that agenda, but something to be aware of. So traditional SBIR is both commercial and NASA infusion focused. Not everything gets infused in the NASA project, but that's kind of the overall goal. That's how we kind of look at the proposal. When we have our reviewers, does this meet NASA technical needs? Is it good, viable technology? A newer process that we've started, and I'll have to find out when the solicitation is. I believe it's on our website, which we'll give some links to. It's called Ignite, and this is very commercialization focused. It's a somewhat easier process. There's not quite the, I'll say, variety of different subtopics, but it's a little bit quicker and it's a real commercialization focus. So if you have some technology it's a big commercial market versus, but may not fit into NASA needs, this is a really good program. We really started last year, getting some good results. I'm still becoming familiar with it, but certainly we can get you in touch with the folks running it and such. We do have NASA reviewers and folks, again, like some of our reviewers and project folks do that, identifying needs. But again, NASA isn't really the primary focus as far as customers, although sometimes it could actually be used there as well. So something pretty exciting program, and again, certainly can provide more details on that. So kind of where to start, and again, please do the survey as requested and get the slides, some good links. First, our website, lots of information there. As I tell folks, again, we're looking at a January 9th subtop, when the solicitation will come up. As a start, look at the current solicitations, kind of understand what we're looking for, what the things of interest. We unfortunately can't reveal what we're putting out for 2024, but I'll say in many cases, a lot of the existing solicitations, sometimes a lot of them were just changed slightly. So it's a good place to start to look. There's no guarantee they'll be here in our next solicitation, but a lot of them do come back from year to year. So definitely look there, but read them carefully and also get an idea of, what's out there. Go, read those, and also lots of information on, on what you need for proposal, things like that. And also various videos and training sessions and things like that, and folks to contact. So it's definitely worth your while to do that kind of in preparation for the solicitation. Going through there, take a look. I think they're well defined, see which ones are of interest. If, again, I'm looking at ARMD, some are cross-cutting, so definitely look at, some of the space ones and STTR as well for areas of interest. Sign up, definitely we'll provide emails and things like that, and again, contacts and folks. We generally do those through centers, and they can put you with depending on the subtopic. So if you see something of interest, say in airspace, we can certainly set you up via the centers to talk to the folks running that. Again, they can't specifically say what they're looking for in this year's solicitation, but can certainly, give you some background, in NASA interest and some research interests and stuff. Again, some YouTube stuff, lots of good things there. So certainly take advantage of that and spend some time on the website. Again, other things you can find there, various resource libraries of videos and print guidance on how you do submit the programs, what we're looking for in a proposal, some blogs, some things going on, some success stories. We put on those hold recently, but we're trying to generate some new, but just, how small businesses have got some big awards, and we'll present something, a couple at a high level. And yeah, just lots of good information there and contacts, and folks are very responsive, especially the NASA center leads are very good in kind of, we use them as their first approach. So each of the NASA centers has a person who responsible for all the SBIR activities. Great people. I did that formerly for NASA Armstrong out here in California. But very good resources, very active, very excited folks to help you, work your way through the SBIR program. So I'm going to go now. That was kind of overall, very briefly. Again, look at the website, lots more information there. And of course, feel free to ask questions at the Q&A session. Want to go a little bit into the ARMD, Aeronautics Research Mission Director at SBIR, and kind of that area. So we again support our various ARMD projects, and in the slides I actually they have a very good website, which I'll have there later, just talking about more of the programs and details. We break our subtopics. We have 13 solicitation subtopics, which are different technology needs, and these are broken into 3 major topic areas: Advanced Air Vehicles Program, Integration Aviation Systems Program, and Airspace Operations and Safety Program. Again, we identify program project managers in those 3 areas to come up with their research needs, their technology needs. What do I need to support this project? We say roughly 5 years from now. So things that that NASA may not have the expertise and usually doesn't have the funding for, so we can throw it to small business to develop that, and then as that develops further, infuse into the mission. Some areas we're working on, advanced air mobility is very, very big, and we'll provide a little more information on that. So all aspects, of developing the airspace and the air vehicles of the future, the eVTOL aircraft, advanced airspace, services like weather services and such, definitely an area that we're working on. And I think Ian would probably particularly can talk a little bit more about this if there's any questions on that in the question and answer system. Unmanned aircraft systems, always big. I'll have to tell folks, and we generally don't get vehicles, it's more technology. So how do we make safer operations and quieter operations, and to use these? So what technologies like sense and avoid, how do aircraft, how do we fly UAVs safely, so they're not, hurting, say, passenger airliners or folks on the ground, and being able to do more efficient operations and such. Again, big growth areas, we know, both eVTOL, electric aircraft, hybrid electric aircraft, very rich stuff we're starting. I tend to think, the whole NASA electric aircraft program really, via the X-57 program, really was, SBIR was in some of the internal research funding really made that, because it wasn't really on the radar, but some innovative, forward-thinking folks use both the SBIR program and some internal stuff to kind of develop that. Now it's a big NASA mission. And finally, one here in California we're excited about, and of course the world, is the wildfire emergency response. This is again a relatively new project, starting to develop, to how do we better develop technologies both in airspace and vehicles to deal with wildfire, but then also looking at emergency response, be it search and rescue and things like that. And very exciting program. And we like this one. It's early in the early stages, so there's a much bigger role for SBIR companies and their technologies to fit in versus, say, a more established project where it's more difficult to kind of infuse the technologies. And we'll talk about a couple of those that we're working on. So this is my very simple slide. Just the link to ARMD gives you a good overall view of the various programs inside of ARMD that basically our program supports, and these are the projects that would be both developing the solicitation, reviewing the proposals, and then potentially following along as the contract's awarded to help develop that, and again with the goal of putting it into infusion, using it in a NASA mission. As Ian had told me, folks here, I know it's a lot of small business potentially supporting the FAA Technical Center and such. So I wanted a little slide on that. We do many joint programs between NASA and FAA, both vehicle and airspace related. Primarily an advisory role as far as vehicles. So I know we're providing them guidance on certification of FAA of electric aircraft via the X-57 program. Also supersonic low boom, potentially enabling, supersonic operations over land due to reduced boom and getting the, basically seeing if it's acceptable. And that's with our X-59 program, which should be flying next April. And the goal is, can the reduced boom, is it acceptable to the community? So we'll be flying around the country and taking surveys and such. Kind of a previous one is advising them on UAV air vehicles in the national airspace. What are the standard specifications to enable more efficient, safer, more efficient operations of those type vehicles? And again, the advanced air mobility, basically vehicles through some of the projects and programs, AM, RVLT, National Campaign. So again, on the vehicle side, what do we need to certify these vehicles for safe, efficient operation? And the FAA, and to qualify, the FAA does all of that, but we provide advisement on that, from using NASA expertise. And I'll also, on the airspace side, we do a lot of work primarily out of NASA Ames and into our A3 subtopic, so on the more of the airspace operations. So these are some projects here. AAM, again, has both vehicle and airspace components. ATMX is another system that actively solicits and infuses NASA SBIR technology. Acero, again, our wildfire, one of the challenges of wildfires, as we found, is, how do we get these vehicles to work safely? How do we, set up airspace and things like that so we can go respond to fires and such. I'm going to throw it, Ian. Anything else you'd like to say on airspace and kind of the NASA role with FAA and airspace?
I mean, you covered it really well. There is, there's multiple FAAs. There's a FAA that is going to certify the aircraft, and that's where FAA is kind of more of a, they're the regulator, right? Kind of like a gatekeeper for industry, before getting past the safety barrier. The other FAA, which operates the airspace, the controllers, the design of the airspace, the management of the airports and all the shared facilities. That's the other part of the FAA, and that's what we kind of call airspace. And both domains are really exciting and undergoing a lot of transformation. I see Sharon Cognac in the chat. Boomerang Aero Ventures is probably clearly in the middle of this transformation. partnering with the FAA in both buckets, but in that second bucket especially, is really important for NASA because they're kind of the consumer of this R&D, right? So one of the real challenges that we have is how do we take the research and development and funnel it into out to the field, like, as soon as possible. And tools like SBIR are just so valuable. I mean, Bruce, when you kicked us off and talked about our resource limitations, we have a lot more ideas than we do money. and SBI and SBIR is kind of like free money for the projects, and just a great way to get to industry where there's also a lot of amazing ideas. Actually, probably most of the great ideas are in industry, so we really want to tap into that. And yeah, I don't know, I can't say enough about SBIR, STTR, and how important they are to the work that we do. And here in New Jersey, we're in kind of a special location because the FAA's test and evaluation facility is located here. And that's kind of why, I'm located in New Jersey, and, one of the roles that I have is kind of connecting NASA with that part of the FAA. And as, industry starts to roll their innovations out and want to get them to the field, there's a lot of, there will be a need in almost every dimension: manufacturing, training, operations, and there's a lot of opportunity here in New Jersey to help out with that problem. So that's it.
All right, thanks, Ian. Very good. I'm more of a vehicle guy than aerospace, but definitely big role in both. I wanted to bring the attention to number 4. Here is future commercial airspace services. It's a really exciting area. So in the future, it's private companies potentially doing weather and mission planning, aircraft operations and such. So going some away from the government and more private services and such. Very exciting. We just have a big board we'll talk about for developing some weather forecasting and weather services that could be provided commercially. So it's probably one of the best, I'd say, commercialization aspects, in this area for developing those. And we'll talk about it a little bit more. But the bottom line is our SBIR, STTRs, we support all these activities, be it tools, analysis, things like that. I'm working a little bit with small business on a sort of tool to help eVTOLs, potentially certify their vehicles. Again, FAA does all certification, but if we can, give them some tools to help, particularly in handling qualities, really exciting tool. We did some flights with NRC Canada, and looks like we're going to get some funding from the Air Force. Just a little next bill at AM, I would say probably the most exciting program. So it's really now a joint project between NASA, FAA, and US Air Force AF Works in this area. There's actually a congressional resolution for us to all work together to develop, both the vehicles and the airspace of the future. There's a link there. I think there's other ones and such, but E and I, we're discussing with AF Works. We're seeing them as potential investors. If NASA's not investing it, we're seeing some investment by AF Works to, in a lot of these technologies with weather and vehicles. And even exciting to me, being from a flight test background, is, we're looking at ways to take some of the NASA SBIR technologies and flying on some of the Joby eVTOL aircraft that AF Works has purchased. Apparently there's 6 here at Edwards Air Force Base. They're going to get things running, but the idea is that we can start, help raise TRL, increase the technology levels of some of our SBIR products. We're already trying to get the certification tool. We're always working to try to get that on board, in the near future. So I wanted to go to a couple success stories, and fortunately I don't have, kind of shows, little bit what we're doing. First one there, I didn't have a good picture. It's ATAC as a company. It's a grant. It's basically we're integrating advanced data analytics into the FAA's performance measurement capabilities. This was the phase 1, phase 2, which in 2021 was about a $1 million award. FAA funded $500,000, and then our program matched that. So under the CCRPP program. The next one upper right is resilience, and this just went through a couple of days ago. This is, we're talking about commercial weather services and such. So this is something they developed under initial NASA SBIR, and now U.S. Air Force AF Works, Agility Prime is funded that for $2.5 million with us matching that, and they're basically going to develop a test area, and I'm trying in Syracuse, New York, for both operations, and then doing, providing weather services and kind of developing that technology. So kind of that AAM partnership I mentioned in the last slide between AF Works, NASA, and I believe, I'm sure FAA is involved in that as well. Another one lower left, again, electric aircraft, exciting. This one actually out of my home center, NASA Armstrong, for battery monitoring, came from, again, SBIR contract, and then Boeing has put in $2.5 million to further develop that. And then finally, one I think recently near completion is Near Earth Autonomy. So kind of an idea for using drones to do aircraft inspections to decrease the time it takes to do inspections and such. So again, very exciting program, again, funded by Boeing, but I know lots of, airline participation as well. So kind of some of these are kind of success stories. These are the high level, a little more competitive. We, again, focus these bigger investment. We focus these a lot more on commercialization versus infusion, but again, try to do that joint thing. The phase 2Es and such are a little smaller awards, much less competitive. And again, a little more infusion, but again, something we look at commercialization. So lots of good opportunities, once you get that initial phase 1, phase 2 award. So this is kind of a little breakdown between showing the 4 mission directorates. Then we also add STTR as well. We don't fund a lot, but we try. It's a good budget, but I think it's a very quality, and again, a little more innovation focused and such. So we had, so looking at 2023, I'll look at 2022. We had 53 phase 1 awards, and about 40% of those go to phase 2. I'll have to say, as a program, I'd love to fund more, because a lot of times we have some really good projects, but kind of our limited budget, we can't afford quite as many phase 2s as I like. But I think it's a pretty good return. And again, it's certainly, just nothing else, developing the NASA contacts and some of the business stuff. So these are our topics from 2023. Going into, if you go to the SBIR website, the NASA SBIR website, sbir.nasa.gov, there's full write-ups of all these, so you can certainly look at those. We'll provide more information on those. I highlight, there's potential somewhat FAA content in all of those, but particularly the A3 is very, airspace oriented, some great projects, some great work being done there. You also see advanced air mobility down at the bottom. We really address that actually more of the commercialization than NASA needs, although we're actually finding some NASA infusion paths as well. Again, not all of these will be there in 2024. and some could be significantly changed. But I think this kind of gives you the idea of things we're looking for. And again, lots of information on how do you put a proposal in, what we're looking for, and things like that. I think this is just this is something I didn't prove. This is something I gave imagination some time ago. Just lots of good information in one point, some contacts. We're pretty good, particularly trying to look at all the folks kind of the ARMD side. I always look at the center contacts. If you look at the center lead for each of the 4 NASA ARMD centers, NASA Armstrong, NASA Ames, NASA Glenn, NASA Langley. I used to be the Armstrong person but everybody, I think they're our most dedicated folks. They love working with customers. They will set you up with SMEs, and just help you through the process. So certainly contact them. I'm there. I can always there as well. We're very open. We're busy sometimes, so it takes a little time to get to it. But if you don't hear, please re-engage and such. And this shows a little. So this kind of shows. Again, kind of, I would say our main NASA projects, which we support. And if you, again, go to the ARMD thing, they'll get much more detail. So upper left, flight vehicle technology. So this is really developing technologies for vehicles. So be it, better engines or quieter engines or improved aerodynamics and such. A lot of tools. So tools for doing various analysis, things like that. Airspace operations, that's under A3. So again, that covers things for help developing the airspace of the future. Folks primarily NASA Ames and the AM, which is out of NASA, actually out of NASA headquarters. Nancy Mendoka, who's our subtopic manager, that excellent, great person, very proactive and, moving these technologies forward. Transformer test is kind of our innovative area. So more of the tool development. They look at, say, things if you're doing, say, a CFD tool or, say, a ground test sensor or something. They kind of look at, see if there's project needs and stuff for that. They also do some more innovative things, the CAS project and University Leadership Initiative. Again, looking at the website, definitely can provide you what their current projects are and looking at that. I've been impressed. The ARMD used to be take forever to update stuff and it would change, but it's some really good resources. And then finally, flight demonstrations and capabilities. So this is, supporting, taking things to flight, be it an X-plane or sometime, flying an SBIR project on a NASA aircraft, developing some of the infrastructure for doing flight test. We have a flight test technology subtopic, at least last year, and it will probably be back. So how do we enable that to do the flight testing of projects like X57, X59, as well as smaller projects? So I think that's it. So I'll stop sharing here and and we can go to question and answer, I think.
Thanks, Bruce. So a message from Ian. Ian has to drop off in a couple of minutes, so unfortunately won't be able to join us for the Q&A. Thank you, Ian. We appreciate it. All right. So Bruce, if you can just go back to sharing your slides.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just in case we have any questions that come up that require you to toggle back and forth on the presentation.
Okay, let's see. Too many screens.
Yeah, no worries. Oh, right there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Yep, I see it. Sorry, let me just put on my video. There we go. Okay, so we'll take the questions from in the order that we received them according to the time that we received them. First of all, so thank you for the presentation, a great presentation, Bruce. And just to remind everyone, the Bruce's presentation will be available to you when you complete the survey. The link has been shared in the chat. Please go to it and then save the link for yourself when you finish it. And this webinar has been recording. And if you miss it for some reason, if you missed the beginning or anything like that, you can view the entire webinar on our website. I can show it to you. The link has also been shared. All right, so moving on to our Q&A session, we have Michael who asks, we are an EDWOSB involved in APMG, lots of acronyms there, International Approved NIST-based training. We're defining a model that operationalizes the controls and incorporates a continuous improvement model, somewhat similar to ITIL, the IT Infrastructure Library, with all the compliance, governance, and risk management requirements we all have. Would this be something that the SBIR program would support?
So I'm this is bad for a NASA guy to say I'm overwhelmed by acronyms. So could I get the folks maybe explain that a little bit more? Yeah, it's a little too many acronyms for me. So
okay, so Michael, please explain that in the chat if what the EDWOSB APMG stand for. But Bruce, if you want to take a look at the question, go to the Q&A little box right there and you can take a visual look at it and that might help.
okay. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my presentation. So let's see.
Oh yeah, it's going to freeze.
Yeah.
It's okay. Let's go back to the presentation. It's definitely going to freeze on you.
Okay. So I can give a kind of a basic, I would say checks the solicitation. Kind of what I'm hearing, it may not be a good fit. But obviously I'm not too familiar with that. It doesn't sound like something, but it could be. And if it's, I'll say here, if it's more of a product, we don't look at that. We more look at something as far as development. So if it's kind of a commercial off the shelf or something you're selling as a company, we have our small business folks do that. If it's more of a say standard solicitation, what we're here is really it's a technology development. So we fund you to develop the technology, and then if it matches one of our subtopics, and then we provide basically the phase 1, phase 2 funding for you to development. Then at the end of phase 2, if we see that's a viable product, something that we need, then we would set up kind of a standard. Actually, and the nice thing, it's a non-competitive contract. So if that was something we wanted to buy, but yeah, I'm not quite sure what it is. If you want to like to follow up, but I would say, initially just if you see a fit in, either the ARMD subtopics or in the other ones, that would be the best path forward. But if you want to speak up, or if you can talk a little bit about that, a little bit more, I could probably get a little more in depth. But I would say it doesn't sound like a fit, but again, I'm not too familiar. I'm not quite sure with all the acronyms. So
Yeah, no worries. So you know what? Let's do one thing. What we could do is, did you have a slide where you had contact information for your office?
yeah, it should be at the last one. The last slide should have all of that.
Okay,
You can reach out to directly as well.
Gotcha. So what we'll do is, Michael, when you complete the survey and you receive the slides, there will be the Bruce contact information for Bruce's office. You can reach out to that if this is something. I would just include Ian Levitt on it. He shared his information, his email, which we'll just reshare. So just, send an email out to them, just get in touch and then see if the office um, will be able to answer your question. All right. So moving on to Sharon asked if a company already has some preliminary testing and feasibility, is there an option to go straight to phase 2?
The answer is no. Generally, all of our phase 2s come from a phase 1. So that's our start. So even if it's developed, certainly using a phase 1 allows you to further develop it. So that we don't do that. I think other SBIR programs do that, but we really start with the phase 1, and all of our phase 2s come from that phase 1. If it's potentially of interest, we can always look at see if there's folks interested in buying that. I'll have to say, if there's we could certainly run by projects, see if there's interest. As kind of Ian said, a lot of our project at this stage, they don't have quite the investment capital, so they use, SBIR to get the things, kind of the technologies they need, and focus on, potentially the post phase 2 stuff. So basic answer, no. Unfortunately, no. We everything from phase 2 is from a phase 1 contract.
Got it. Thank you. And a follow-up from Sharon about this is, can you give more information about those success cases that you shared? What was their path through the NASA SBIR program, and how did they get to the level of corporate funding you shared?
Yeah, good question. So all of those did a phase 1, phase 2. I know at least 2 of them also had a phase 2E where they had, I believe, NASA investment at the smaller level. In the phase 1, as I stated, is 6 months. We don't have any infusion at that. The phase 2 is 2 years, and at the beginning of that second year, then they're open for basically any type of matching funds they can apply for the phase 2E program. And then the CCRPP, the bigger awards, are after that phase 2, and there's also sequentials. I'll say for most of the part, particularly the, say the commercial partnerships, I think it was a lot more the companies establishing those versus via NASA. With particularly like the Boeing and such, we try, but a lot of times it was the company doing that outreach, finding the investors and things like that. We see Boeing, we see a lot of venture capitals actually investing as well. We love the funding, but we also, we've had a few cases where there was a big investment, but we felt that it wasn't helping the small business, so we actually didn't approve them. It was great for the investing company, but not for the small business. And money's money, but we want to make sure there's a good commercialization case. With resilience, in the AF Works investment, that is something both he and I are working on now. We are working on ways to find ways to make sure AF Works is aware of, all of our current proposals, so they're aware of that for investment. Air Force, of course, has much more funding and such, and they have their own program, but they like to take advantage of a lot of the NASA stuff. So we are working. So if you have a current, say, phase 2 project, we're working on a database so they can review that. And if NASA's not investing it, or even if they are potentially doing a joint investment, then we can get some of that funding. So something we're definitely working, improving on, but that's kind of the path. to me, it's, particularly if you're going outside of NASA, it's definitely right now a lot of your company, doing that, making the connections and such to go forward. What we do is, we say, hey, we're here because doing the matching, and I know that that enabled some of the AF Works contracts, that we're matching that funding. And in that case, we're actually providing the cores, the contracting officers representative as well to monitor the contract. And they seem to really like that.
Got it. Thank you. So moving on to John's questions. John has 3 questions for you. First one is, how often do software-only proposals get approved for phase 1, and what are the typical types of software NASA is looking for?
Good question. A lot of analysis tools. I would say sometimes I feel it's a little too many. Be it MATLAB, various toolboxes and such. So be it modeling. So software for doing CFD, computational fluid dynamics, subtopic in that area. So no tools. How do you do that better? Certification tools. So you mentioned tools that both NASA can use to look at future vehicles to understand how well do they fly, as well as tools that we could provide companies, both ourselves, FAA, and small businesses. Can this say this vehicle can it be certified? Or is there issues, say, with handling qualities or ride qualities? Various modeling and stuff. So definitely in the propulsion system, engine modeling and things like that. Potential autonomy, so control algorithms for, say, vehicles, for controlling them more efficiently or without a pilot. Yeah, it's a wide range. So there are some, and we mentioned prototype. So the prototype there would be the software. We'll say, yeah, and yeah. So again, it's in solicitation, but yeah, I think a lot of it, and again, a lot of it, either for data. I'll say, a couple other ones is one of the things we're working on. Again, these eVTOL vehicles is, do you have tools that could, say, predict what ride quality and such? I say tools. It's generally their software. I'm a MATLAB guy, so a lot of them go into MATLAB. Not all of them. There's also, I know, in the air traffic side, various tools that are usually identified. So they have a existing, say, system, and then being able to fit your tool or software into that, always key. And the solicitations will kind of lay that out as well. If we want you to interface it, so provide that data.
All right, moving on to question number 2 from John. Is a team of 4 engineers of different disciplines, 2 with bachelor's, 2 with master's, and combined 5 to 10 years of professional work experience, is that a reasonable team to receive funding?
Yeah, I would say so. I think I would go with the expertise. Do you have the right skills mix and things like that? It's important. I used to review proposals. I do less of it. We talk about innovation. We talk about feasibility of the technology. A key component we look at is, can the team do this? Do you have the skills level to do that? So definitely an important part of the proposal, as well as facilities and stuff. But fine, we've had folks early on, and sometimes they're the most innovative. We've had small teams. I think my fair, I don't know how many they're up to. There's a company out of Colorado called Black Swift, and I think they were 3 people, developing some UAVs, both for their science as well as some technologies for AMD. I think they've got some more. They're just getting too many contracts. But yeah, it's I think it's fine, but definitely show the skills and things like that, because we do look at that as part of the review. Tech innovation's good, but we want to make sure that show that team can do the job, what they're signing up for. And of course, after phase one, we'll certainly know more, how well they work. But yeah, I think that's good. But definitely, show their expertise and things like that, because that is an important thing we look at as part of the review process.
All right, and last and final question from our audience we have, how important is it for the principal investigator to have past research experience versus other people on the team?
Principles, definitely, again, going back to that, something we look at, what have you done, previously and such. Again, we just want to make sure you can, pull off the technology and such. So particularly if it's, something, if I say like machine learning or AI, we definitely look at that. I mean, they don't have to be, I would say more practical experience versus, being a doctorate or writing a billion papers, but that's okay as well. But yeah, definitely important. Other folks less so. We look at the PI, and a couple things is, are they experienced? I think the other thing is, are they participating enough? If that's a key person and they're only working 10% of the time, that's going to be a red flag. So we, I forgot the requirements, but it's pretty high participation. That it's not just a small percentage of their time. That particularly if it's expertise. Other folks less so. We primarily look at the PI. Also, we do, of course, subcontractors are allowed. If you need to bring in outside expertise, it's out of your funding. But we also look at that as well. So if you're, say, hiring another company to do machine learning, we definitely look at their experience as well. We look at previous projects. If you do have those, again, just kind of an idea, understanding that. It's somewhat dependent on the reviewers, but I think more and more we're looking, and I certainly in my role look, is can this company pull this off? Do they have the right expertise? But yeah, and I'll say another thing, and I not to go off on doctors or advanced degrees or something. One thing in the proposals we see, I've had some where it's somebody's dissertation. We try to get subject matter experts, but a lot of times, it's too much of a proof. It's like your dissertation. We may not have the expertise so show it's innovative, show it's feasible, show you have a good work team. That's what we really look at the proposals. So I had a couple, they were doing proofs and stuff, and I couldn't follow it. And I always say, be careful, because you'll get one reviewer and he'll start correcting all your math or something. So just some advice on, kind of what I look for and others look for in proposals. And also just, again, realistic commitment of the team. If you've got a lot of other work and you've got 4 people or something, you've got 6 other projects, and you're not putting the time in to do the SBIR, that's certainly a kind of a red flag for us.
Got it. I mentioned that could have been the last and final question, but we have a follow-up on the PI
Sure.
question from Sharon. Do they have to be the POC on the registrations like SAM.gov? And this is related to the PI question that John asked.
So I'm not quite sure that is. We can either use the PI can be the point of contact, but I know in some cases we do have like a business contact. So if there's like a new business person, they can put on there. We generally have both. The PI generally works with the core, or technical monitor. So if you're awarded a phase 1, we assign a technical monitor. They're their primary interface in regard to basically presenting on the technology, providing updates to the work being in progress from a technical point of view. Most we do have some type of business person as a contact, mainly to just make sure things are being done and kind of you know, a contact for more of the business stuff, you know, making sure things are done on time, and, you know, anything as far as the business side, any paperwork on that. So I think that answers your question, but yeah, we kind of use a dual, but I would say the PI is primarily the one working with the technical monitor or the contracting officer's representative, which is the same, just the core, the contract officer representative is in the phase twos, just because they're a higher dollar amount, so they required certain additional training. But then there's a business person who works with the contracting officer, who basically does all aspects of, as far as the contract and making sure it's executed, doing any no cost extensions or things like that, any mods to the contract, and so all kind of working together.
Got it. And that concludes our Q&A session, and that also concludes our presentation today. So Bruce, cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for doing this. Ian's not in the webinar anymore, but you know, we really appreciate you and Ian both for doing this webinar for us for our tech team.
Great, appreciate the chance. Always love to talk about our program. I always excited about it. I'll say we may not have the words, but I think, you know, the service we provide to our, you know, both people proposing and, you know, and our awardees, I think it's definitely great. Always way to improve, but encourage everyone to look more into that. Hope to see some proposals come January, and you know, feel free to reach out to myself and others in the program, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. So appreciate your coming today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. For our audience, we don't have a published webinar for next week, so definitely stay tuned onto and keep an eye out on our Eventbrite page or just our NJSBDC page in case something does come up next week. And keep an eye on your email for a newsletter or something from us. In the meantime, though, I won't take much of your time, more than necessary, I promise, but I do just want to show everybody our njsbdc.com tech team page, and that is over here what I have opened up. If you would like to request counseling, please enter your email here, just select your county where you're from, and you go and request counseling from here. What it'll do is it'll take you to an application, and you just answer that. We have all the FAQs for you. We have the facts for you. We have our team. You know, we have testimonials, which tech theories, part of our tech theories, which ones we've already done. Here's the FAQ. So whatever it is that you need help with, please reach out to us. And the other thing is, this is our video library where all the webinars are stored. So whether it is related to the tech team, which will mention, you know, SBIR, STTR, or it's related to QuickBooks, it's related to holiday season marketing, proposal writing, anything like that, we have that available for you on this page. So these links have been shared with you. Please take a look at them. These are all great resources available to our small business community. Please take advantage. And with that, you know, feel free to register, and I will be signing off. I hope you have a great day, and we hope to see you, if not next week, then the week after for the next webinar. Bye-bye. Take care.